Welcome on into a Cleveland Browns mailbag. I'm answering questions that were asked during our live show, which airs on Wednesdays, usually at 5 p.m. Eastern, but when Kevin Stefanski hands over the play calling, we moved our show up a little bit earlier. So, with that being said, let's get into our first question coming in from a longtime viewer, Kathy. Is there any way to get out of the Deshaun Watson contract? Yes, you could release him, make it a post-June 1 designation release. You are still going to get hit with a huge dead cap hit. I don't think they're going to release Deshaun Watson after this year. I think they may even feel like Watson's going to be their starter when he returns healthy, unless the NFL draft gives them a quarterback they can't pass on, and that quarterback lights it up in the offseason workouts and whatnot. I did see, Kathy, a very wild idea, though. It's not going to happen, but it was basically like the Brock Osweiler trade times 10. Where the Browns trade Deshaun Watson to the Patriots and also give New England a bunch of draft picks just to get Watson's contract off of their books. The Browns are still going to be left with a lot of dead money, so it's not that simple, but it was kind of funny to go back in time to the Brock Osweiler trade and go, oh, it can get way worse, Houston. All right, Dallas, next one up. Should we look for a long-term backup QB in next year's draft in day 3? I honestly feel that DTR is not the answer. You can't have a backup QB that only does good in the preseason. I don't disagree, Dallas, that I don't think DTR is really a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He's never gotten a great shake at it. Like, the times he's come in, once was on Sunday halfway through the game. Another one was with like 4-hour notice before the Ravens last year. And then last year, he did improve as the season went along. I'm all for, though, drafting a quarterback in day 3 for pretty much all 32 teams. You just don't know when you're going to get a Brock Purdy or a Tom Brady. So for that right alone, it's just kind of like with your 6th or 7th round pick buying a lottery ticket. Is that quarterback going to work out? Probably not. Was the defensive tackle you were going to take in that spot going to work out? Probably not either. But if one of them does work out, which position would you rather have it be? Quarterback or defensive tackle? Dylan Sutcliffe, should the Browns tank for a QB in round 1? Tanking is a tough conversation to have because coaches are not interested in tanking. GMs are definitely not interested in tanking because they're not guaranteed to be the ones making the selection. Now, maybe in the Browns' circle of trust, Jimmy Haslam, who has been very supportive of Stefanski and Barry, sits down and just outlines what went wrong this year and divvies up the blame to everyone but those two guys and says, I still believe in you. Let's go get Cam Ward from Miami, and you guys can still have your jobs, and this is kind of a win-win for everyone except for season ticket holders paying a stupid amount to come watch this team go nowhere this year. But Cam Ward is the only quarterback in this draft class that I think is really worth looking into. Like, Quinn Ewers, I don't think is going to enter the draft with the way he has played this year. Carson Beck sucks. I just do not see a world where Dion lets Shador come play for the Browns. He's just not going to let that happen. Like it or not, I don't see that happening at all. So, should the Browns tank for a QB in round 1? The answer is no, because just no player is going to intentionally drop a pass to help out the next team on the next year's Browns when they may not even be on that team. So, it just requires too many people to orchestrate, and it's not going to happen. Vasily, do you think Kevin made the decision on his own to give up play calling? I would love for Kevin Stefanski to write a book when the day comes that he is no longer the Browns coach and share with us what it was like to have most likely a ton of puppet masters above him. You know, Pinocchio, blank on the guy who's actually pulling the strings for Pinocchio, but Geppetto. I would love for Kevin Stefanski to write a book about all the Geppettos above him and how often he got to make the decision versus how often Jimmy Haslam maybe kind of breathed down his neck, gave like an uncomfortable little shoulder squeeze from behind and like leans in and whispers. I think Ken's a really good play caller. So do I think Kevin made the decision on his own? I'll say yes, because I can't say for sure otherwise, but would I be surprised? Not in the slightest. Now, before we get to the other questions on today's episode, We have an awesome sponsor I'm excited to share with you guys, and that is Mando. Mando is a whole body deodorant safe to use anywhere on your body. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando on the family jewels without any worry, because Mando is aluminum free, baking soda free, cruelty free, dye free, and vegan. I love having Mando at my desk, so when I walk to work, I've got it waiting for me to kick any bad odor I worked up during my walk out of the door. Mando is offering new customers $5 off their starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. That starter pack, by the way, is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I've got a discount code to help you guys get hooked up on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Getting back to some of the questions from our mailbag. Joshua Miller, where will Mike Vrabel end up next year? Josh, do you mind if I twist this question for a second? Could Mike Vrabel replace Kevin Stefanski? Because I don't know if that's what you're thinking or if that's what you need to hear because that's what you weren't originally thinking, but that's what the origin of this question is. I think Mike Vrabel is going to be a head coach next year. I don't know how he did not become a head coach this year. Do I think Mike Vrabel will be the Browns head coach next year? Unless the Browns don't win another game, I still think Kevin Stefanski will be the head coach. Haslam gave Stefanski and Barry contract extensions. Now, that's just money. It does not count towards the cap or anything like that. So if Haslam decides to fire them anyway and just pay their salaries and pay 2 coaches at once because he's a billionaire and he doesn't mind doing that, then by all means, he can fire Kevin Stefanski. I think Kevin Stefanski truly has the best job in the world, which is to be a fired head coach where you still get paid and you're not doing anything. But Mike Vrabel in that situation, to me, seems like an obvious candidate to be one of the first replacement options, simply because I do feel like the Browns do need an injection of leadership when it comes to installing the right culture in this locker room. And Mike Vrabel is definitely a culture and tone-setting guy. Michael, what's going on, dude? They don't give out Coach of the Year awards like candy. He earned it both years. I say we keep him. I don't disagree with this thought, but I will just tell you that Jason Garrett and Matt Nagy both won Coach of the Year awards, and were both fired within like 2 years of winning that award. So by no means does winning Coach of the Year give you a very long leash afterwards. I do think it is, I guess strange is the best word to describe, Stefanski giving up play calling duties when that is his number one asset, is a play caller. Like, that's what he is best at. If you asked him to rank himself on all of his head coaching duties, he'd probably say his biggest strength is play calling. David Snyder, do we take a QB in the second because we obviously need to go O-line in the first? I feel like taking a quarterback in round 2 sounds okay on paper, never quite works out as well as you hope it does. I mean, the best round 2 quarterbacks over the last 10 years that come to mind, Derek Carr, and then go back a little further and Andy Dalton. And they're not bad NFL quarterbacks, but are those the quarterback ceilings you're striving for? Like, more often than not, the best quarterbacks are going to come out of the top 10 picks of the draft. You do get some outliers, Lamar Jackson for starters, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, both barely outside the top 10. But round 2, I feel like at that point, you're just taking a quarterback for the sake of taking a quarterback because it's the highest guy on your big board at that position. If they're not a round 1 guy, I'm not interested. I'd rather go get I'd rather go get the best player available, someone higher up on your big board, even if it's not a quarterback, which you need. Let's not just light a second-round draft pick on fire so that we can say, well, we tried to take a quarterback. Brandon, Are there any dark horse trade targets you believe the Browns would send away for the right return? Great question, Brandon. I don't think they're going to trade Myles Garrett. I think David Njoku might have a sliver of a chance of getting dealt if a team were to call and make them an offer they can't refuse. But it's unlikely a team were to do that for a tight end. That's just not a position that gets shopped a whole lot. I don't think Denzel Ward is going anywhere. I don't think Greg Newsome can be considered a dark horse anymore. So that to me doesn't seem like it fits the bill here. I'd go with David Njoku. If a team is really desperate for a good pass-catching tight end and they give the Browns a third-round draft pick, Cleveland might take them up on that offer. Brandon, appreciate your question, though. Drunken Honky, great to see and hear your insight on these dark days for the Browns. Thank you. Drunken Honky, thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate everyone who is sticking with us because obviously, it's no secret that this team is somewhat my livelihood in terms of, if they're successful, usually people are more interested, and that's better for business for myself. So selfishly, I always want the Browns to be good for a business perspective. I don't think that's a big surprise to anyone who knows what it's like to be in the sports coverage sphere. But I do really appreciate those of you that are hanging out with us, sticking with us during these really, really dark times of a 1-6 team. Oh, and then one last question here. AFX Apocalypse. Sorry, AFX. Didn't mean to bury the lead. One man can save us, Stetson Bennett. No, I hate Stetson Bennett. AFX is simply referring to a bet I made with another Chat Sports host here that Stetson Bennett would not get drafted. And if they could do the draft over again, no shot the Rams take him in round 4. Stetson Bennett stinks. All right, who you got, by the way? Browns, Ravens. We'll end on this right here. Let me know in the comment section below for this Sunday who's going to win.